You're watching South Today. Coming up on the programme tonight. Hello, a very good evening to you. I'm Jo Kent. An investigation has begun after 3 people were injured when a large marquee collapsed as it was being dismantled in Southampton. The aluminium structure at Mayflower Park had been in place for the Seawork Marine exhibition. The suppliers of the marquee say the structure has an impeccable safety record. Well, Bryony Leyland joins us from Mayflower Park now. Bryony, what more can you tell us about this? Bryony, what has the company who supplied this marquee had to say? Tributes have been paid to 3 teenagers who died in a car crash in Oxfordshire yesterday. 17-year-old Elliot Pullen, 18-year-old Daniel. Now, for parents, making sure their child gets the most appropriate support with their education is paramount, but especially for those whose children have special educational needs. But one campaign group says the current system for those who need more support is outdated and overstretched. Mums and dads from across the country came together today calling for reform, with many of them from the south. Lindsay Kinghorn reports. A man's been rescued after falling into a well that suddenly opened up in a back garden in Borden in Hampshire. The Supreme Court has heard a test case which could spell the end of new fossil fuel projects in the UK. Now, it's perhaps one of the most useful materials we have, cheap, light, durable and easily changed to create a myriad of products. But the way we're dealing with ever-growing amounts of plastic, both here in the UK and around the world, is of course causing huge problems. In just 2 decades, plastic production has nearly doubled from 234 million tonnes in 2000 to 460 million tonnes in 2019. Plastics account for 3.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And nearly 80% of all plastics humans have ever created still exists in the environment and in landfills. So, what can we do about it? Well, that's something experts from around the world are discussing this week at a conference called Plastics Future. In a moment, we'll hear from the man who presented his research at negotiations towards a UN plastic waste treaty. But first, James Ingham has been looking at plastics in fashion and microplastics in the environment. Well, a little earlier on, I spoke to Professor Steve Fletcher, who's the director of the Global Plastics Policy Centre at the university. And I began by asking him what made him confident there could be a worldwide agreement on plastics when climate change has proved so difficult. In the film we've just seen, we saw some experimental alternatives to plastic that were being developed at the university. Now, how much work is going on globally and how close are we to finding a really sustainable alternative to plastic? You alluded to there, I mean, even if we found an alternative or we could cut down on the use of single-use plastics by using reusables, what on earth do we do with all of that plastic waste that's already out there right around the world?
That's already out there, particularly the microplastics, really tiny pieces of plastic which are just...
The University of Portsmouth, thank you for your time. Some sports news now, and Southampton Football Club has appointed Russell Martin as their new head coach. There's more information about that story on the BBC Sport website. Now, imagine swimming for over 12 hours non-stop. Well, 23-year-old Harry Middleton from Twyford near Reading did exactly that as he swam the English Channel this week. Harry raised almost £3,000 for the Fine and Country Foundation that works to combat homelessness and the Make-A-Wish charity, which helps make dreams happen for seriously ill children. Edward Salt has been speaking to Harry about his epic challenge. Well done, Harry, from everyone here. Now to the summer solstice, and around 8,000 people gathered at Stonehenge earlier to mark the longest day of the year. Our reporter Dan O'Brien joined them. Absolutely stunning sunrise there, wasn't it? I've been here quite some time, Sam, and there's been a fair few years where it's just mist and murk.
Well, you think about yesterday morning, good job it wasn't then. Horrible low cloud, miserable.
Yeah, right, really nice story now, because a teacher from Dorset has made it through to the judges' deliberations on America's Got Talent after wowing them with his guitar skills.
59-year-old John Wines teaches guitar at the Bourne Academy in Bournemouth.
So how did he end up on the show? Well, our reporter Michelle Cross caught up with him to find out more. That's all from us this evening. Ed Salt will have our late news at 10:30. But have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.